Hi, good afternoon, children. I know you're all still at home with your mummies and daddies and having a lovely time, so I thought I would share another of my favourite books with you today. This one is The Princess and the Wizard, and the wizard isn't very nice. It was Princess Eliza's birthday. She was just blowing out the 7 candles on her cake when a wicked wizard flew down the chimney and into the room.
"Why didn't you invite me to your party?"
he thundered. "Because wicked wizards like turning people into stone," said Princess Eliza.
"So they do,"
said the wizard, and with a flick of his bony finger, he turned the king, the queen, and all the party guests into stone. Oh no.
"They like capturing princesses as well,"
said the wizard. Oh dear. Just then, there was a whirring of wings, and in through the window flew the princess's fairy godmother. She was a little bit late for the party. When she saw what had happened, she waved her wand and said, "The princess may try 7 times to escape before changing her colour and changing her shape." The wizard just laughed his horrible
ha laugh
and said,
"Changing her colour and changing her shape will never help Princess Eliza escape."
Then he snapped his bony fingers again and turned the fairy godmother into stone. Oh no. The wizard whisked the princess up his chimney and carried her all the way to his dark, dark castle. He locked her into the cellar where poor Princess Eliza cried herself to sleep. Oh dear. The next day was Monday. The wizard unlocked the cellar door. He was holding the big red book which contained all of his wicked spells.
"This is your first chance to escape," he said. "I shall count to 100, and then I shall come and find you."
He opened his book, he closed his eyes, and he began to count.
1, 2, 3.
Princess Eliza ran outside as quickly as she could. Most of the moat of the castle shone blue under the bright blue sky. She jumped into the water and turned herself into a little blue fish. This one here, it's all sparkly.
99, 100.
The wizard opened his eyes and looked in his magic book, which said, "To find where Eliza is hiding from you, look in the moat for the fish that is blue." He fished Eliza out of the moat and took her to his kitchen, which was full of blue pots and plates and pans, and they were all very dirty and covered in dried up food.
"So you like blue, do you?" he said. "Then set to work and wash."
And he locked her in. Oh dear. Poor Eliza. On Tuesday morning, the wizard unlocked the kitchen door. He looked at all of the clean pots and plates and pans, and he grunted.
Chance number 2.
Then he opened his book, he closed his eyes, and he began to count.
1, 2, 3.
Princess Eliza ran as quickly as she could into the farmyard. She turned herself into a yellow chick and hid in some straw. But the wizard read in his book, "The yellow straw in the farmyard is thick and yellow and thick. Princess Eliza's disguised as a chick." He scooped Eliza up and took her to a cupboard which was full of yellow socks. They all had holes in them, made by his very pointy toenails. "So you like yellow, do you?" he said.
"Then set to work and darn my socks."
And he locked her in. On Wednesday morning, the wizard unlocked the cupboard door, looked at all the darned socks and grunted.
Chance number 3.
he said, and he opened his book, he closed his eyes, and he began to count.
1, 2, 3.
Princess Eliza ran to the meadow. She changed herself into a green grasshopper and hid among the blades of grass. But when the wizard read in his book, "The grasshopper princess is easily seen, chirping away in the meadow so green," he caught Eliza in a net and took her back to his green bathroom. The bath basin walls and floor were covered in slimy toothpaste.
"So you like green, do you?"
he said.
"Then set to work and wipe."
And he locked her in. Poor Eliza. 3 more days went by. Each day the princess tried to escape. On Thursday she turned herself into an orange fox and hid in a pile of orange leaves. On Friday she turned herself into a beautiful butterfly and fluttered among some purple flowers. On Saturday she turned herself into a black cat and hid in a black tunnel. But each time the wizard found her and gave her more jobs to do. On Sunday morning, the wizard came onto the roof where Eliza had been scrubbing the sooty chimney pots. Instead of grunting, he laughed his horrible laugh.
"Ha, ha, ha, ha! This is your last chance," he said. "If I catch you this time, you must stay and work for me for the rest of your life."
Oh dear. Then he closed his eyes, he opened his book, and he began to count. 1,
2, 3.
Princess Eliza turned herself into a white gull and flew up into a cloud. But as she hovered above the roof where the wizard was counting, she saw the words in his magic book writing themselves. "So that's how he finds me," she cried. "I shall never escape." Then she had a brilliant idea. She turned herself into a page of the wizard's book. A perfectly blank page with no writing on at all.
98, 99, 100,
said the wizard. He finished counting and he began to read in his book.
"The princess turned into a bird in the sky. She hid in a cloud. Then she had one more try."
Said the wizard. That was the end of the page. The wizard turned over to read more, but there was no more. The next page in his book was blank and it was white. The wizard flew into a terrible rage. "You silly book!" he shouted, and he hurled it into the moat. The book landed with a splash and sunk all the way to the bottom. The wizard's magic was all gone. At that moment, in the palace, the king and the queen and all the party guests came back to life. "Where is Princess Eliza?" they asked each other. Nobody knew except for the fairy godmother, and she only smiled and said nothing. Princess Eliza had turned herself from a white page into a blue fish and swam to the edge of the moat. She turned herself into a yellow chick and ran across the corn in the farmyard. She turned herself into a green grasshopper and hopped through the grass. She turned herself into an orange fox and ran through the orange leaves. She turned herself into a purple butterfly and fluttered over the purple flowers. She turned herself into a black cat and streaked through the black tunnel. Then she turned herself into a white bird and she flew all the way back to the palace and in through the window. She perched herself on a chair at the tea table and then changed herself back into a perfect princess. The king and the queen and all the party guests hugged her, and Princess Eliza cut her birthday cake and everybody shared a slice. I hope you enjoyed that one, children. We'll be bringing you some more stories and some of my favourite books as well. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you again soon.